My name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Burn Medicine. Today's topic is the Lionsgate portal on August 8th this year. Every year on August 8th, we have the Lionsgate portal, and it's based on the sun. But the sun does come into alignment with Sirius, Orion's belt in the constellation of Orion, and the Earth. Those four things come into a certain layer of alignment that is believed to bring with it energy to place at the back of, you will, each entity for manifestation, for creation. The number 8 is a number of abundance and power. So August 8th is abundance and power, abundance and power. We're doing it in a 9-year. 2025 is a 9-year. So integrity and wisdom is the thing we're kind of focused on this year. Sound relevant? And so in this integrity and wisdom year, we are taking this Lionsgate portal and giving ourselves the opportunity to bring in abundance and prosperity for manifesting energy. Some would say that there's a spiritual energy behind it. I've known those Akashic Records readers that have said that literally every year you are given this almost energetic push or energetic zhuzh, if you will, to assist you with new manifestations. And so you tend to operate in these annual cycles, and then each year, if you're ready to make a change, now is the time to make the change. This is the period of Leo. So August 8th is the period of Leo. Leo is about taking the stage. It's about garnering stage presence for the character you're going to play in the play of life. And this is where you have the opportunity to change characters, if you will, or change costumes, or change the what you're doing with your character play. We do have 4 planets in retrograde during this period. Retrogrades simply represent, it looks like the planet is moving backwards, but it is not during a retrograde period. And because it looks like it's moving backwards, what that means astrologically is that when we're in a retrograde, it's asking you to slow down on that topic. So I know everyone's like, stop blaming Mercury for your problems. But Mercury retrograde is not about blaming Mercury for your problems. Mercury retrograde is about slowing down on all things communications based. Before you send that email, are you sure you put the signature? Are you sure you're being polite and not just overly direct? Before you get those plane tickets, are you sure you chose the correct time frame, location? It's where, when it comes to communication, we slow down and we carefully consider what we say, which, I mean, may we always have Mercury retrograde. It deeply serves us as beings to slow down on some of these ways of being and not always, I know it serves me to not just always rush forward and just say any old thing that pops into my brain. So as we have Mercury in retrograde during the Lionsgate, it is indicative of one of the ways we may want to slow down and elicit change before we move to this portal is to consider our relationship to communication. In the modern age, communication used to be sitting out on your stoop, talking to your neighbor, getting a newspaper, you know what I mean? Then we went from radio to television. Now we have all these vast forms of social media. We have ways we are engaging and interacting with our televisions more than ever before. We have so many forms and modalities, from billboards to text messages to emails. We have really spread the web of communication wide open. Now is a good time before you go through the Lionsgate portal on August 8th to consider if you are relating to communication in the way you want to. Are you engaging with television programming or telephone programming to the degree, social media programming, to the degree that you want? This is information that you're just putting in your brain nugget. And are you doing that the amount that you want to be doing it? Now is a good time to consider, are you saying the things you want to say? There's a gentleman I mentioned in a previous video that I've seen in a cafe for a long time, very attractive. To this day, I've never gone up and said anything to him because he's enigmatic and mysterious and like intimidating. I'm so curious. But no matter how curious I am, I'm too busy being like shy and like, none of your business. Well, he's too interesting, leave him alone, to actually communicate, to have anything happen there. And so there are plenty of things that Heather doesn't say that she could say that might elicit the very change she's looking for. Who knows, Definitely not going to elicit any change that I'm looking for if I don't open the doorways of communication. That's for certain. And so I'm considering that in this period of my life. I did in the previous several months really work at communication with a person that I was dating that is somebody that as a very dear friend to me. And my life shifted a lot when we started dating, and I got to do a lot of new things and explore new stuff. And yeah, what I came to realize is that we are in very different spaces. And if I had asked more questions before we started dating, I would have recognized that and had set a boundary before we started dating. But I didn't. I was like, it's very titillating at 49 to be dating someone because you're dealing with a different paradigm. For all of you in your late 40s, you know what I'm talking about. It's just not the same as dating in your 20s and 30s. It's a different paradigm. And you are a different person and you know yourself better than ever before. And so, but I kept setting a boundary but not keeping it. And so I also kept feeling like when I was communicating, I wasn't being clear. And so I spent, a large portion of a day with this gent and just really worked to be really clear and ask, like, am I being clear? Does that make sense? Is it, is this landing? And also to firm up the boundary, because we are headed towards paths that don't go in the same destination. So no matter how much I may enjoy dating somebody, I'm not interested in diverging from the path I'm on. The path that I'm on is looking for a devoted, loyal, committed partner. I had that to offer in spades because I had a lot of learning around that. And I do think there's some entity that to them, my loyalty, devotion, and commitment will be a grace. It'll be one of the boons that they have in getting to date me. And so I'm not interested in pouring that water on the ground with somebody that's not interested in commitment right now. And so ultimately, I got to communicate. I got to set a boundary. I got to establish it. I got to speak up for it. Now is a perfect time to consider all forms of communication. Are you establishing boundaries? Are you taking a stand for them? Are you speaking your truth? Yes or no? Also, through the Lionsgate portal, we don't only have Mercury in retrograde, we have Saturn as well, Neptune, and Pluto. Saturn is the planet of challenge, difficulty, what's hard. And so we talk often in astrological circles about Saturn return. Saturn return typically occurs for most two-leggeds in their late 20s. It does vary per person. But Saturn return is where an entity from 0 to 28, let's say, it was 28 for me. Every lesson you didn't learn, every challenge you didn't face, you have a Saturn return and you have to confront and face all of the challenges and lessons that you didn't confront and face from 0 to 28 or whatever point it was you came into Saturn return. And so Saturn is the planet of challenge and hardship and difficulty, right? And I just did a video called The Privilege Paradox, in which I'm talking about challenge, difficulty, perhaps being a grace from divinity. Perhaps those entities that have the greatest challenge and greatest difficulty have been given the greatest grace to offer the evolution of their character. Because we evolve our characters to the content of difficulty and challenge. It's pressure that makes the diamond. It's the lotus blossom blooms in mud. And so now is a good time to consider what's challenging and difficult for us. And is it because it requires a change? Are you in a relationship that is deeply dysfunctional on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level? And does it make sense for you to remain in it? And are you disrespecting yourself as you remain in it? Are you in a job that is causing you on some level to continue to opt in to mistreatment? I had this in the job that I just had that I resigned from. There was emotional abuse, really, is what was present. And I'm just intolerant of it. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. We are all shoulder to shoulder, all of us, no matter what your title is. And that's okay if you don't understand that. But if you can't treat me like you're shoulder to shoulder with me as a leader, you're not my leader. I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go. We're all one type of being, so that doesn't work for me, And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I resigned. It's the greatest decision I made all year long. And so, is there any challenge that requires new action from you as Saturn goes into retrograde through the Lion's portal? Neptune is the planet of illusions, fantasies, and dreams. Are there any fantasies, dreams that you're having that you actually need to apply action to have and hold those fantasies and dreams in your life? Heather has ways in which she can apply action to move closer to her fantasies and dreams of the beloved, which she loves to daydream about. And I keep watching myself not do anything, and it's like, this is interesting. As somebody that is really interested in that person, that I continue to choose not to talk to them. What an interesting bird I am. What challenges can you step into, and what fantasies can you make realities? And what fantasies are you using to run from your reality, to avoid your emotions, to avoid your shadow integration, to avoid the evolutionary work that you potentially actually came to do? And then Pluto, the planet of power, I do believe it was a planet of power because it's a generational planet. It's it's the slowest moving planet in our solar system. And I think we were having a lot of intense generational issues around power. And I think that Pluto was listed as not a planet around the time that generations started coming in that stopped having such extreme power dynamic issues. That's Heather's 2 cents on why I think that occurred. But Pluto has to do with power. How are your power dynamics going? Are you being a subservient servant? Heather's played that role a bunch. To many, without recognizing that your life is not based in reciprocity and it's okay for you to receive? Is it time to learn that lesson? So planets in retrograde always simply mean the concept of what this planet embodies is in a slow down phase, and it's time to slow down. So if Mercury, the planet of communication, is in retrograde, we're going to slow down with our social media, with our text messages, with our communications, with our phone calls, and we're going to pause more before we speak, and we're going to double check the email before we send it, and we're going to slow down in the way we communicate with the world. So those 4 quadrants are pointing to sign symbols of clues of where it might serve this year for us to consider. Should we slow down in our social media intake? Should we slap the phone off the world for that? Because yes, should we slow down in the amount of speaking we're doing? Should we do more listening? Yes, I think nearly all two-leggeds could serve with more listening and less speaking and talking at. And Heather works on that all the time when she's engaging with a two-legged. But aside from those 4 quadrants, the Lionsgate portal is meant to literally put the wind at your back towards something that you're wanting to have come in and be part and parcel of your life. It's there to support you with that manifesting energy and the double abundance and power manifestation of the number 8, which is what the number 8 means. 8 is the Lion's Gate. And so as we're moving towards this Lion's Gate, what movements are you ready to make to have whatever you seek to be different in your life be different? Some people are not moving at all. They're not exercising at all. And Heather's always recommended, as a medicine person, I don't want you to go from not moving at all to P90X. That's crazy. It doesn't even make any sense. I want you to go from not moving at all to stretching 5 minutes a day, or stretching 5 minutes a day, 3 days a week. You know, so if right now you find yourself in a place of greater stagnation, your job causes you to sit, you don't have an exercise regimen, you tend to go from job to TV and you're sitting again, can you, as you watch TV, do 10 sit-ups, 20 sit-ups? Can you do 10 jumping jacks? Can you choose that time to add a little movement? Can you stretch? See if you can reach your toes. I promise you, if you sat in front of the TV and tried to stretch and reach your toes every single day that you watch the TV, you'd find yourself quite flexible at 75, 80 years old. So what we put our energy into often gives back to us in dividends. So now we might consider, many people, this is a great time to make a dietary change. So are you drinking enough water? Are you breathing enough air? The shaman I predominantly trained with, Lightwalker, said, Heather, so many two-leggeds you talk to, you're going to say, breathe air, drink water. It's free. You don't need to call me again. Because most people are not doing those 2 things. You're not breathing air. You're holding the breath. Are you really breathing, Are you really taking in the air that gives you life? Are you drinking water? Are you hydrating? That will help not only the plumpness of your skin, but it helps the fluidity of your spinal fluid. It helps decreases the viscosity in the body so that nutrients can move through your system more quickly. So simple things that are free, like water and air, are things we can fold into the life. Any person can fold those things into the life and have increased beneficence to their overall health from now to the grave, where we're all headed, And so what kind of things are you wanting to fold into your life? Now is a wonderful, powerful week to do that. Even in ancient Egypt, they acknowledged this alignment with Orion and Sirius and the Earth and the Sun, and it was considered a really powerful time for manifestation. Now is the time to manifest your dreams. Now is the time to step into a new character of being. This is the annual portal that we get to go through to have things be different. What could require a shift that would really serve you at this time, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Where are you looking to have things be different? And can we give it a little bit of attention this week so that on August 8th, we already have some movement? Heather's left that job. She's now doing these new things, and I now have some movement towards me painting and doing other things. We can get out of an unhealthy relationship and move towards greater self-care, self-love, self-devotion. What is it that you're ready to have be different? And are you ready to focus on that for a bit through this Lionsgate portal and have the wind, if you will, behind your wings? You can always subscribe to Rare Bird Medicine on YouTube, like and comment there. I always love your thoughts. I'm one.